And you look at that. It's my 5th character, and we finally got the Voltaxic LA action going. That was supposed to be my first 3 characters, but never panned out. Oh my god! Oh my god! It was the fucking Detonate Totem! Oh my god! Oh fuck! It wasn't double boss, it was the Detonate Totem. Oh my fuck! That's such a dangerous map for... I mean... Detonate Totem at the boss, Jesus. It was almost dead too, we almost off-screened it. Fuck. Shit, man. Oh, that's amazing. Oh my god. Oh god. Oh. I was having so much fun too. Aww. This time I'm not sad for dying, I'm just sad that I was having a lot of fun. I was looking forward to the next couple days of like playing through the insanity. Corpse exploded, the corpse of the boss, the classic Kriparian rip, man. I mean, that's cool, bro. That's cool. That's cool, man. I mean, I got Kriparian, yeah. G'day guys, ZiggyD here. I just wanted to take a look at this rip with you guys, break it down and talk about some of my thoughts on the efforts in the race and also the rip itself. So as you can see, we died here at rank 10, level 91 on Slayer, just 1 level after switching to Voltaxic Rip. Doesn't always happen right after you respec, you die. But we did a full run up to 90 using a physical bow slayer, using Lionized Glare. There was some tough times. I'm going to probably talk about Slayer a bit more in the future, but on the whole, I mean, we did well. We surpassed our Necromancer and got ourselves into that top 10 and pretty much secured a Demis as well. I'm still sitting at rank 12 now 2 days later, and there's a pretty low chance that I'm going to drop out of top 25, so very good chance I actually get that Demis from this effort. So you don't actually need to stay alive, you just need to get yourself high enough that other people don't overtake you and that you stay in the top 25 to secure that Demis. So we should have at least pulled out the Demis for this race, so I'll be watching the leaderboards over the next couple of days and we'll see how we go. But most people in Slayer are dead. There's like, it's like 30% of people in Slayer in the top 50 are alive, so there's a very good chance we stay in that top 25. So, as you can see, this is in a Springs map. This is a single boss Springs map, so not the double boss classic Kriparian rip, though very similar. It's actually a totems map, and it was a Detonate Dead totem that got us in the end. Now, what you can see just here, is that I go up to engage the boss, and we move up. And the first thing I spy here, which is kind of important context, is a cannot die pack. And as I start to move up and engage these guys, there's a lot of stuff in there, right? So some of the suggestions I got after this death was that you should always go up into the boss room and clear it out and make sure there's no totems or anything like that in the area. And I would say that in this situation and in many situations, that's not actually a good idea. The reason for that is if you just kind of YOLO up past, all the packs and get yourself stuck in that room, and there's a nasty pack of champion mobs in there, a couple rares, something like that, then you're probably not going to live long enough to get killed by Detonate Dead Totem. So I see a lot of stuff. I see the cannot die pack, so I back up and decide to engage them at the choke point, which is generally a pretty good idea, especially using something like Lightning Arrow, where if you hit the walls of the Lightning Arrows, the secondary effects bounce to the enemies and kill them, so you get much higher DPS and you're able to concentrate that much better and kill any dangerous enemies at the entrance there. And since the boss comes down, we back it up, we play it safe. For the last couple levels on this character, I'd been playing it very safe, not going super clear speed, not blinking forwards in maps, just hanging back, off-screening as much as possible, just playing it generally very safe and using, the range of our character to take enemies out as much as possible. So I draw back here, and I frostball the boss at the entrance, chuck a couple frostballs down, and finish her off, no problems. Okay, so we get to this point just here, where I poke up. The boss has died just over here, right? I poke up here, and I look, okay, we can't see anything there. Boss room looks pretty clear, probably cleared it out with our AoE. So like, okay, let's play it safe and blink over all this pile of corpses here, and then what actually happens after I kill off a few of those other mobs? Can't see anything at this point, right? Like, nothing at all on screen. I blink, and I'm dead. Now, what actually happened here, if I zoom right in and break this down frame by frame, and hopefully we have enough frames, you can see I died just here, right before the blink goes off. Now, what actually happened was, this guy here cast this all the way down here. The boss is all the way down here, actually, like just off screen. The Detonate Dead Totem detonated the corpse of the actual boss. So you can't really see that because I blink at the exact same time it happens. The death screen is known to come up slightly before, right? Because you can see death screen full life. The death screen is known to come up slightly before you actually die. It's kind of just the way the information gets sent, I guess. But you can see I take the damage there as I'm kind of like on my screen moving midair through the air. So there was exactly 1 frame in this. Like, if the blink had gone off a frame earlier, I would not have died because I would have been here as the boss explodes. And you can actually see this little tiny red mark down here behind me. That's actually the, I believe that's actually the effect of the corpse explosion. Like, that's the Detonate Dead effect going off. So there was a frame in that. There was 1 frame in that. So a slightly earlier blink, like a 1 frame earlier blink, and I would have survived that because we would have skipped to here, and then the explosion, you know, would have gone off. Now, this was a temp chains map, so it's probably temp chains that killed me here, but but in the end, what can you do about that, right? So we get over there. The realization doesn't set in for a few more frames, right? Because it was a straight up one shot. Now, the way Detonate Dead works is that it deals a percentage of the detonated creature's life as fire damage or physical damage. Physical damage if it's a lockbox, fire damage if it's cast by a totem or a mob. And in this case, because it's a boss life and bosses have huge amounts of life, you know, how much more life they have than a regular creature, and Detonate Dead is pretty much tuned around dealing damage based on the life of regular creatures. Well, the life of a boss is enough to basically one-shot any character. Like, there's no mitigation you can have to protect from that. Even if you're running Purity of Fire auras as like a champion or something like that, sorry, as a, you know, as a champion with a 20%, or as a guardian with the increased effectiveness of auras and all that, there's a very low likelihood you could survive the damage dealt by a corpse of a boss exploding. And this was on an extra life map as well, so it's like 29 or 30% extra monster life. So that also adds to the damage of the Detonate Dead as well. So there's really no way of mitigating that whatsoever. So when that happens, you are dead. Now, it's a little unfortunate here because I checked up and I couldn't see anything, right? I couldn't see anything at this point when we were down here, kind of like against the wall, trying to see if there was anything in the room. It's fine, we decided to blink up. Perhaps I could have blinked over to here, who knows? There was no way of me knowing that there was a Detonate Dead totem there. And I'd also thought that for the most part I'd cleared out the room, right? Because I'd been firing up in this direction as well. But because of the angle of the map, the arrows might have been sailing overhead. And when you can see, I actually, you can see the life of the totem there. The totem was almost dead too. So not only was there a frame in that depth, the totem itself was almost dead as well, just by my like secondary damages I was firing through. And you know, this pack here is this pack of these Arctic Leapers here is a good reason why I don't usually just blink into the boss room or just run into the boss room to try and clear it out before killing the boss, because you don't know if there's like a pack of those guys there gonna leap on top of you with the Cannot Die aura and things like that. It could be a haste aura in there, it could be a substantial physical damage aura in there. It's just too reckless to do something like that. So I played it as safe as possible, but I was still killed by something that I had no way of knowing was there. So pretty unfortunate. Just one of those kinds of deaths that there was nothing I really could have done reacting to the things I saw that could have prevented that. Now, you know, everyone's an expert in hindsight, and, you know, it's like totem maps are exceptionally dangerous, be very careful around the bosses. I was being very careful in my mind. The only thing I think you could do, and the only really counterplay to something like this, is to bring Flesh Offering into the maps and destroy the corpses of any bosses or rares that you encounter. And that's because the danger of these totems is very real. Detonate Dead totems kill a lot of people. I think we recently saw a double rip with Ziz and one of his teammates being killed by a boss as well. And because of the range of them, the fact that this can hit off screen. So this is here, right? And this is off screen. The boss is just down here. You can see the center of the explosion is probably just down here, occluded by me in the UI. So that range of that thing is huge. That's a massive range. It basically can detonate to the edge of the screen, maybe even a little bit further. And when you're also looking uphill, there's definitely no way of seeing that. And it means that you could be standing here on just this, side of the boss, so just the southern side of the boss, and it could be just in range of it, but there's no way of you seeing that totem. So that means, again, the only counterplay to that is to, before you walk over any corpses of bosses or rares, because rares can kill you too. Rares have enough HP to potentially one-shot you from Detonate Dead, especially if there's extra life or extra damage on the map, any of that sort of stuff. Then you need to be Flesh Offering and destroying any corpses of any of those enemies. Now, rip aside, I was pretty happy with the death, right? I was pretty happy with the efforts of the character. Pretty sure we got our Demis, got to 91 on Slayer. Very happy with that efforts. A bit sad that I didn't get to play in the last couple days at endgame, because they're going to be pretty fun with all the mods active and everything. But overall, not really, I don't really have much of an issue with me dying here on this character. I thought it was a pretty glorious rip. It was a callback to the classic Kriparian rip. So, you know, a pretty epic way to go. The character definitely dines in Valhalla after this effort. Though I do think it's a good opportunity to highlight maybe Detonate Dead totems are not the best mechanic, because, as I said, the only real counter to something like this, when they can off-screen like that, is to destroy the corpses of every boss and rare that you come across. Now, I don't really think that that is engaging gameplay. Now, it's easy to say, oh, you just want to never die in hardcore. But I think that we have to talk about things in terms of what is actually engaging and interesting challenges. And I think detonating the corpses of any rares and bosses ahead of time so that this sort of off-screen doesn't happen isn't very engaging gameplay. What I think is that totems like this should have a much smaller range. Pretty simple. I don't think they should be able to detonate right at the edge of the screen, because there's no way of you seeing that and reacting to it. I like challenges that are exceptionally dangerous, and Detonate Dead totems can be that you can play around, that you can recognize the threat, be very aware, be very alert, and play around that challenge. And there's no real way of playing around that apart from, as I said, detonating every corpse. And I just don't think that's very engaging sort of difficulty. I think that's sort of like a tedious thing to be doing, you know, to be detonating every boss and detonating every rare. So I think that is something that should be changed. I think, let's say that I'm the totem here, something like a half screen radius I think would be perfectly fair. The threat is still there if you aren't paying attention, and if you walk over corpses around the Detonate totem, you get destroyed. They are very dangerous, but you have the chance of spotting them. And there is you're always going to be able to blame yourself when you die to something like that, because you're like, there was a Detonate totem there and I didn't see it, or I didn't pay attention to the corpses around the Detonate totem. I should have seen that because it was on screen, and I should have killed it, or I should have detonated the corpses. That's what I think would be ideal in situations like that. So, pretty interesting death. I do think that maybe a discussion about Detonate Dead in general might need to happen in the future because of the way it scales and the way that all comes together. But at least with Detonate Dead totems, I do think that they should have a shorter range. I think that is a pretty reasonable thing that I think would enhance gameplay, and it would mean that you don't have to do something silly. If you don't want to die to deaths like this, of, you know, bringing a Flesh Offering into maps, fine. Like, I think that's a reasonable thing to do on a lot of builds, because you can clear up Necro Vigil, you can prevent situations with Detonate and stuff like that. But having to do it in advance before being able to recognize that there's any totem potentially off screen in any one of like 3 directions around your character, I don't know. It's a questionable mechanic that I don't think adds an enjoyable form of difficulty to the game. So again, pretty happy with the overall performance of this character though, pretty happy with getting into that top 25, getting into that top 10, and you know, potentially securing that Demi. So I'll be watching that, and I'll be watching some of the other guys doing some racing. And anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. How do you feel about Detonate Dead in general, maybe, and the Detonate Dead totems? Have you guys died to anything like this before? How do you guys deal with it? Is it something you just, do you detonate, do you destroy the corpses of any bosses in totem maps? Are you just super, super careful in totem maps? Do you, you know, just try not to walk over any corpses? I don't know, I'm curious whether it's something you guys even try to play around, or whether it's just something you're sort of tempting fate with, which is, I guess, essentially what I was doing here. Anyway, guys, that is it for now. I'm ZiggyD, and thanks for watching.